Peace, peace, family. Yeah, well, as you see the title, what the title says, I'm gonna speak about the British royal family, how they owe the Negro people. Um, we're gonna cover. I just gonna cover a part two to this on what I did last night, and just show how they use psychological mind control on our people in order to get our people on board with the bullshit that they do. So I'm actually go in on this today, and I'm not gonna be long at all. I'm gonna go in today, and I'm gonna actually show like just the devilish shit that they do to our minds, man. We got to pay attention to what the hell is going on. All right, let me get it all set up. Give people a chance to come into the room. Some people a chance to come on in. We got to pay attention to what the hell is going on. All right. Yeah, so I just and watching that the hoopla and the hype behind this royal wedding and what they do for mind control and how they condition us. We've been conditioned to like hate each other and for somehow let these Europeans off the hook constantly. Here in America, during the Obama administration, we've seen countless black men be gunned down by police and on video. And we've seen these men go to court and be found not guilty or get some type of probation or whatever. We know the history of the British Empire in Africa. We know in West Africa, they was responsible for putting Africans in zoos and controlling the resources there in Sierra Leone and places like Liberia, controlling the diamond fields of the Beers family. We know what they did in Kenya. We understand what they did in South Africa. We understand the British hand. What we're going to talk about today is how the British was responsible for having ships and having slaves shipped over to the Western Hemisphere. The Negro people, how they owe us trillions of dollars for unpaid labor, and how they try to say that they shouldn't have to pay for something that their ancestors did, but they're the beneficiaries of what their ancestors did to us, and we're still paying the price for what happened to our ancestors because our ancestors was never allowed to pass down any generational wealth. So when everybody's all hyped watching this royal wedding and getting captivated by this shit, you are totally disrespecting your ancestors. These people, we don't owe these people anything. I'm not going to get hyped. I'm not going to cuss. I'm just going to talk today. I'm going to teach. I'm going to explain, what they did. Some of y'all might be in the chat laughing at my shirt. I'm out with my Cuban family today. I had to get real flamingo on them for a minute. My other side had to come out. But yeah, you see, it's like we're so forgiving towards everybody else, but when it comes to your brother, man, we don't forgive, we don't love at all. Some people is on these social media platforms calling the black woman a traitor for being enamored with this shit, but it's not just the black woman, it's the black man too. But this is psychological warfare that they're doing on our people, man. Psychological warfare. And because the black man is destroyed, the black woman becomes vulnerable. And she's becoming the white man's concubine. Peace, Todd Collins. She's caught up in it. So he knows that he can use media, radio, TV shows, all kinds of stuff to entice the minds and the desires of black women. So now they give you that image of Serena Williams, as I said last night, standing there with the white man at the prince's wedding. Mind you, they didn't invite on a guest list. Obama and his wife wasn't invited, but they made sure that they invited Serena Williams and that white man because they wanted that image. Images speak more than words. It hits the psychological aspect of the mind more than words. They wanted that image. And that image is Serena Williams, who a lot of black women strive to be like. Standing there with that white man, with Meghan Markle getting married to the goddamn devil. And this is what this is the stuff that they've done to us. And you don't understand that you have had black people in America hiring lawyers to go after the British Empire for their hand in slavery on our ancestors. Whether you want to use the slavery, whether you want to use the Aboriginal people that was here, I don't give a damn what you use. All I know is our ancestors were destroyed by these devils, man. So I'm gonna get well, the joy. What website were you using last night? I'll show it. I'll show it to you as I'm going in. Tyru Pride, I got you. You know, but they're responsible. These devils are responsible for a lot of things, man, and we gotta call it out. But it's up to us, Ty Collins, True Pryor. It's up to us to make sure that our children understand what happened to us. It's up to us to make sure that we're constantly teaching our children what these people are responsible for and how they built their empire. If you notice, we don't celebrate no African kings or queens. You know, there was an African American woman that married into an Ethiopian family last year. Matter of fact, let me share my screen so I can get into this, man. Let me share the screen so we can go right to work. I'm gonna make sure that I actually talk about this. Yeah, let me see if I can pull. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Just give me 1 second. Hold on. Yeah, because see, this didn't get it. This, what's good? What's good, family? This didn't get any coverage. And I'm gonna leave this here because I'm not even gonna talk about it right away, but I'm gonna leave this here. Oh man, what the fuck is that? Okay. I'll let y'all see the picture. Now I didn't see. I want y'all to see this. I want y'all to see this good. I want y'all, because this is the real royal family, the real royal line. This is an African American woman married into an Ethiopian wedding. I didn't see no black women clamoring for this. This wasn't a star-studded event. I didn't see black people going crazy over this. This came and went. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit. But as soon as them damn crackers married a biracial, decided to marry a biracial girl, the internet went crazy. Black people went crazy. Everybody wanted to be a part. Everybody that was so-called somebody wanted to be a part of it. But they didn't cover this wedding here. These are two black people. These are two black people. Continental African and a North American Negro. Nobody cared. And look at the phenotypes are so similar. It's funny that when you show a lot of West Africans from like Senegal, Angola, Burkina Faso, they are a family, but they don't look like us. But when you go to East Africa and you see those Ethiopians and southern Egyptians, the Nubians, man, they look just like us, man. I want to go in, man. I want to get into this story, man. I'm gonna start off here. We just gonna get right into it, man. We'll get right into it. I can see I got the haters. I got some haters, but they coming thumbing down already. I ain't even get started. Yeah, that's letting me know I'm doing something right. I done finally picked up some haters, man. Let's get to it. Jamaican reparations. British taxpayers are not to blame for the horror of slavery. But see, what they don't realize is there wouldn't be no Britain that they know today if it wasn't for the horrors of slavery and all the money that was being made off of our ancestors' backs and bloods and the native Mongoloid people that was also here. There wouldn't be no Britain. Jamaicans want David Cameron to join a campaign for reparations, but how can people today be asked to pay for something they had no say in? This is what the cracker is saying. How could they be asked to pay for something that they had no say in? So let's go down and let's talk. Let's read about it. Now this here this is by Julia Hartley Brewer. So this is by a cracker. Of course, only a cracker would say that. Only a cracker would make the statement that she made. She said, "But how can taxpayers? How can people be asked to pay for something they had no say in?" That's the cracker saying that. So let's go down and let's get to the story. You might think that the most shameful thing in David Cameron's past is an alleged intimate moment with a dead pig's head, but you'd be wrong. No, the worst claim to fame that the prime minister has is his family's role in the slave trade, which is today coming back to haunt him during his official visit to Jamaica. A coalition of 14 Caribbean states, including Jamaica, is mounting a campaign for reparations from Britain over its role in the Atlantic slave trade, citing not just Mr. Cameron, but all of our cruelty heritage as proof of their claim. Britain, along with France and Holland, could face a legal claim at the International Court of Justice in the Hague as early as next year, demanding a formal apology and billions in compensation for the horror inflicted by the slave trade. Mr. Cameron must, it is argued, pay for the sins of his father. Except it wasn't Cameron's father who kept slaves on the sugar plantation in Jamaica in the 1700s. It was his cousin, 6 times removed, General Sir James Duff, the son of one of Mr. Cameron's great granduncles. Yes, this tedious link to a long, dead, distant relationship is the basis of not just Mr. Cameron's guilt by association, but all of our culpability, because everyone in Britain's profited from the riches made through the unpaid labor of African slaves. It is estimated that some 4 trillion in today's money was extracted from the region of unpoor labor, helping to build modern day Britain. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna get to the African Americans prior. Just wait, I ain't get to them yet. Yet the only compensation paid out when slavery was abolished was to the owners, not the slaves themselves, to the tune of what would be worth almost $2 billion today. $2 billion. So they paid the slave owners, but they didn't pay the slaves. So it is claimed it is now time for us to pay back some of those riches and make good for the suffering we inflicted on millions of innocent people. Now, I'm reading this because I want y'all to understand, and I want y'all to pass this video around to you on YouTube. I want y'all to pass my video last night and today on Facebook, because I need to deprogram the minds of a lot of our young women. I'm not pointing no fingers. I'm not coming down on my women, because I understand psychological mind control. And I understand that when the black man is destroyed, our women becomes vulnerable, the women and children. So I need everybody, man. If you understand and agree with what I'm saying, I need you guys to put this video on Facebook. I need y'all to send it around YouTube. I need people to see this information, because a lot of our people, they're not being taught this information. They don't know. So we have to get out, and we have to see, we have to make sure that our people actually get out and see this information so they can fully understand. They can fully understand just what's going on. So now, as I read on, and that makes perfect sense. But as long as the same rules apply to everyone whose ancestors may at some point in time been mistreated by another human being. After all, after all, as horrific as the Atlantic slave trade was, it is not the only example of man's inhumanity to man in human history. But that's not our business. We don't have nothing to do with what happened to other people. We got to focus on what the hell happened to us. We got to focus on what was done to us. That's what's most important. That's what's most important. And all right, I'm pretty unhappy about what the Romans did to the British, to my British forebears too. Not mind y'all, this is a white woman. I'm pretty unhappy about what the Romans did to my British forebears too. Not to mention those Vikings coming over here with their ravaging and pillaging. So when are we going to demand our billions in reparations from the Italians and Danes? But see, this is why we either got to kill them crackers or we got to get away from them, because this funky bitch knows damn well there's a difference in what happened in Britain as opposed to what happened to the Negro people that was shipped here to the Western Hemisphere, and the Aboriginal black people that was here, and the Mongoloid natives that was here. She know damn well what happened to us. She cannot compare. Britain still has their intact language. They still have a nation, a thriving nation. We have lost all knowledge of self, and we're subordinate to still American and British rule here. We got to get, like, when you listen to, that's why I read this article, because I wanted y'all to see the mind, Janice Lewis, the mind. I want y'all to see the mind of these devils. He's basically saying, so if what her ancestors did to ours, she should be able to ask the Vikings and all those bastards for shit because of what they did to their people. They didn't totally, man, listen. I said I wasn't gonna cuss. I'm gonna stay calm because I'm reading this for a reason, because I want y'all to understand the mindset of these people. This is why the British royal family never gave a decree. The British monarchy, the British government, empire, they never ever gave a decree to divvy out reparations, because they don't give a fuck. They don't think that they owe you nothing because they don't see you as equals to them. If you don't have a standing military to protect your claims and to go and take back what you need, then fuck you. You're lost. You're done. So I gotta be careful. I don't want to do too much cussing. All right. And when does the statute of limitations end? Mind you, this is a white person. And when does the statutes of limitation doesn't end on genocide of a people? 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, or can we claim compensation for anything and everything that has ever happened since the Big Bang? So when y'all dudes want to go get with these white women, this is how they see you. This is what they think of you. Y'all got to stop this nonsense, man. But I'm not mad at you, because I know for a fact that there's a cause and effect to everything. And we only deal with the effect, but we don't deal with the cause. We don't know the historical accounts of these people and how they minds think. We're not studying these people. These people don't give a fuck, don't give a darn about what happened to you and what happened to your ancestors. They don't give a darn about what happened to why you in the positions that you are in now. They don't care about land grant acts that was given to immigrants that came here and was taken away from you. They don't care nothing about none of these things, man. The slave trade was, after all, legal under, see, you hear what she's saying? The slave trade was, after all, legal under British law at that time, and it was Britain which led the way in ending slavery. Well, it was Britain which led the way in ending slavery after they made so much money. Yeah, it was Britain that led the way. But Britain wasn't the first European nation to abolish it. It was France. So these are some of the stories that you guys have to understand when you're dealing with these people, man. When you're getting an understanding for what it is that you're dealing with. Now look at this image here. Look at us working here, and look at the cracker. This is the cracker standing right behind you with the whip. That's what the term cracker, because he was cracking the whip. So this is definitely a cracker here. And I want y'all to see this imagery. And I want y'all, like I said, I want y'all to send this across Facebook. I want young black women to see this imagery. These are their descendants. And this is what they was doing to our great-great-grandmothers and grandfathers. So before you get all hype, yeah, they gave some money to Japan for dropping that atomic bomb. So I want y'all to see this. This is a 19th century engraving of slaves on a sugar plantation. Most likely sugar plantation, most likely in Cuba or Dominican Republic. But this is a cracker. And this wasn't that long ago. We ain't talking about 5,000 BC. We talking about the 17 and 1800s. Let's go down. Reparation campaigners are quick to point out, mind you, this is a white lady. She's defending her ancestors. How many of y'all defend your ancestors? All of y'all that was so enamored by that wedding, how many of y'all was defending your ancestors? I'm reading this cracker because she's defending her people. Listen to this. Reparation campaigners are quick to point out that the slave trade is a special case because it breached the natural law that man is free and that there can be no statute of limitations on such crime against humanity. However, this is her. However, it is the claim to be able to judge the past based on our values in the present. That presence of the biggest difficulty. There is no doubt that slavery was and remains one of the worst things that man has ever done to his fellow man. The Atlantic slave trade was a particularly brutal and dehumanizing act of pure greed. Now watch this. So by her admitting that, right, how can she turn around and then say, mention reparation campaigners are quick to point out she's a devil? These people are devils. Stop sticking your dick in these devils. Stop allowing these devils to stick their pink shit in you, man. Stay away from these people, man. But let's not forget that the vast majority of Black Africans who suffered were captured and sold. See, here we go. She said, but let's not forget that the vast majority of Black Africans who suffered were captured and sold by their fellow Black Africans. So are the Caribbean states planning to demand compensation from those West African countries for their part in the evil trade too. See, she's not leaving out the colonization, the hundreds of years of colonizations of West African nations. She's leaving out the fact that West Africa, Ghana, countries like Cameroon, and a lot of those countries had to get their independence from European nations because they controlled them. They was putting those West Africans in zoos. This is the disingenuous devil. The devil is a deceiver. So I'm reading this article. Y'all really need to understand the way that these demons think. Indeed, for much of history, slaves have routinely been owned in Africa and Middle East. Why are the descendants of Egyptian slaves somehow less deserving of reparations than those of the Jamaican slaves? See this shit? Look at this shit. Look at this, man. This is psychological mind control. How can you have all these big, powerful descendants of a kind people, strong Jamaican men, and you got this one pink devil right here, just standing right there in the middle of them. They standing attention to this crack. That's psychological warfare. Look at him. He's smiling. He happy. He's standing side by side with that white man. Look at him, man. Look what they done to our people, man. Look at this. This is psychological warfare. Knowing the historical aspects that people that look like him used to buck break Jamaican men in the ass in Jamaica. That's buck breaking in Jamaica. And they still psychologically could just stand there and still stand and be subordinate to this devil. Stand at attention. This is what's happened to our people, man. Prince Harry with honor guard in Kingston, Jamaica. Them Jamaicans kill each other in a heartbeat down there. Places like Travilla Gardens and certain parts of Ocho Rios and certain cities and certain parts of Jamaica. They kill each other like in a fucking heartbeat. Vicious and violent towards each other. Jamaicans are feared. When that white man show up, you can hear a rat pissing on cotton. You got hardcore hard, stone cold, hardcore descendants of MACON soldiers tiptoeing through the tulips. God damn it. This is why I need y'all to show our people this, man. It's pitiful, man. Shows how badly brainwashed our people are. These brothers are tiptoe. Look at these big, strong, vibrant brothers, man. Big, strong, black, melanated black men, man. Look at this fucking pathetic, puny devil. Look at him. This guy right here can break his whole body with one snap. Bam, he's dead. But for some reason, they stand subordinate to him. But if I went down there to Jamaica, would they give me that same attention and love that they're giving him? Or they push me to the side as if I'm nobody? This is what has happened to our people, man. And while slavery was an abomination, we must not pretend that while blacks toiled the sugar plantation overseas, every white man, woman, and child was busy living the life of Raleigh back in Britain. On the contrary, the slave trade happened at a time when life was nasty, brutish, and short for most people. Whenever they live, whenever they live, and whatever their skin color, that don't have shit to do with us. And the thing is, we ain't going after the Brit. We're not going after the regular British people. We're going after the British Empire. They got billions and trillions of dollars. It's not our fault that they didn't share the money with you peasants. It's not our fault that they see y'all as peasants too. Don't blame us for that. We don't have nothing to do with that. That's the issue that she has to take up with the British families. That's not our problem. Most white Britons lived and worked in horrific conditions. That has what to do with us. And even young children laboring for 12 hours a day on farms and factories and down coal mines, where you didn't get your ass whipped or your head cut off or your dick cut off making eunuchs because you wanted to be around white women, because them white women didn't want them little puny ass peckerwoods. They wanted these big, strong black men. That's what they wanted. They wanted to be satisfied when they seen these big men. So they would cut these brothers' penises off. Because you motherfuckers like you couldn't measure up. You couldn't measure up. And your woman knew it. So when a black man wanted to be around, when a black man had to work in the house and work around them women, they would castrate him. Let's keep it real, man. Let's talk this real shit. These little puny peckerwoods. He ain't have nothing to offer when that white woman saw these big black men. He was obsolete. Why shouldn't the descendants of those workers be entitled to reparations for their exploitations? Well, that's something that she should take up with the British government. The truth is, we cannot have a collective responsibility for anything that anyone from our country has ever done in the history of the world. That way, madness lies. How can the British taxpayers of the day be expected to apologize and pay compensation to Jamaicans for something that happened centuries ago, in which we had no say in which most of our forebears benefited nothing from? Yes, slavery is hard. Yes, slavery is horrible stain on Britain's past, but no apologies or reparations are going to undo the past. So, see, and this is what I'm trying to tell y'all. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. So I want y'all to understand who this cracker demon was. Look at her, man. This is Julia Hartley Brewer. And this was back in 2015. This was back in 2015 when she wrote this, because the Jamaican formed the coalition of 14 Caribbean states. Here, as you can see, a coalition of 14 Caribbean states, including Jamaica, is mounting a campaign for reparations from Britain and its role over the Atlantic slave trade. So you have to understand, you have to just understand exactly what they're doing. So let's go up here. So now you see, look at this brother in the back smile. Look at this motherfucker, man. Look at him. Look, he more fair-skinned, like me, man. Like I'm disappointed. Look at this shit, man. This is a disgrace. Look at them. They're happy to be protecting this devil. How y'all protecting this peckerwood, man? Right, Obama. They been gave billions to Jews, but that's a secret. That's another story when you're dealing with these Jews around the world. The royal family was right. Well, you got to understand the royal family. The royal family, CM 75 was usurped because if you want to deal with the original royal family, we got to go to Ethiopia, that first royal bloodline, and that's something that they don't want to talk about. But I'm gonna deal with the Ethiopia on another live stream, but I want to just deal with the reparations that they owe us. But look at this shit, man. This is our people, man. Look at us. And don't think that Jamaicans ain't our people, because they are our people. When you in the Western Hemisphere, the North American Negro, the Jamaicans, the Haitians, the Trinidadians, they might not always understand it or believe it, but they are our people. In this Western Hemisphere, they are our people. We got to get out of that mindset. But our people, we deal with colonized minds. We've been conditioned to be separate. Now I want to go into this next one. Hold on, let's go here. As a matter of fact, let's stay here for a minute. Let's stay here. New Africa 77. Yeah, let's stay here and let's go down. Let's deal with this. The British Crown Royal Family Monarch Royal African Company wealth came from African slave trade. So let's go in and let's deal with it. Yes, the largest ethnic group in America are of German descent. Yes, the largest ethnic group in Americas are of German descent. That's absolute. Yeah, that's absolute. So the connection between the British royal family and slavery, as you can see here. Look at the cracker demon. Look at him. He didn't conquer the man. He all over our woman. And this image here, what you see, is what's been going on for the last X amount of years. The black woman, and I gotta say this. I gotta say this, and I gotta be honest. The black woman belongs to the white man. The black woman is the white man's concubine. I don't care, brothers, if you sleep with a black woman every night and she's your wife. He provides food, shelter, and clothing for her. We are not in power where we control our own destinies. We don't control our food, shelter, and clothing. Hell, we don't even make our own drawers. We don't control the tampons that our women put up in themselves to sustain themselves. The white man provides clothing for her. The white man provides jobs for her. The white man provides food for her. The white man provides services for her. And until we step up into our kingly and godly states and take back control of our own destiny as men, as providers and protectors, she's always going to be so subordinate and a concubine to this white man. This image is powerful, and we got to be honest about it. When you get out of line with your woman, she calls him. He comes and gets you straight. When you don't pay child support to her, she calls him. He comes and puts you away. You got to understand how this thing is operating, man. And I'm not saying that to blame the black woman. I'm saying that to understand that when the black man is conquered, the black woman becomes vulnerable. She becomes subordinate to whichever dominant male figure is in power. And this is what's going on. Right, the beasts do know the truth about the original royal family. The Duke of York slave business concern branded the initials DY on the left buttock or breast of each. Wow, watch this, y'all. The Duke of York slave business concern branded the initials DY on the left buttock or breast of each of the 3,000 slaves they shipped to what was called the Sugar Islands and the Caribbean. Later, Charles II was a slaveholder. Charles II was a slaveholder in the Royal African Company, which made vast profits from the slave trade. The story of the Atlantic slave trade, 1440 to 1870. Award-winning British historian Hugh Thomas. So you can get that book, the Atlantic slave trade, 1440 to 1870. The award-winning British historian Hugh Thomas. In the 1680s, it was transporting about 5,000 slaves per year. Many were branded with the letters DY after its chief, the Duke of York, who succeeded his brother on the throne in 1685, becoming James II. Other slaves were branded with the company's initial RAC on their chests. Between 1672 and 1689, it transported around 90,000 to 100,000 slaves. Its profits made a major contribution to the increase in the financial power of those who controlled London. The British royal family, see, this is what I'm trying to tell y'all. This says the British royal family and slavery. Our young girls in America, the North American Negro woman needs to see this. She needs to be retaught and get this. They're exercising psychological warfare on our women, man. In 1632, King Charles I granted a license to transport slaves from Guinea. And now I just told y'all, in 1632, King Charles I granted a license to transport slaves from Guinea. In 1651, a New Guinea company in London was founded. The term for coinage, the Guinea, comes from this historic connection. After the Revolution of 1688, the trade was thrown open, and in 1713, an English company obtained the privilege of supplying the Spanish colonies in America, South and Central, for 30 years, stipulating to deliver 144 Negro. Oh man, see, watch this. Stipulating to deliver 144 Negro slave ships, 144,000 Negro slave ships within that period. So with the English company obtained the privilege of supplying the Spanish colonies in America, South and Central for 30 years, stipulating to deliver 144,000 Negro slaves within that period. 1/4 of the stock of the company was taken by King Philip of Spain and Queen Anne of England, reserved for herself the other quarter. So the two monarchs became great slave dealers. So these monarchs were slave dealers. And what I'm doing now is I'm just showing you how the British crown, she tried to say yesterday when I was reading, they tried to say that the British family didn't have a hand in slavery, or they didn't have anything to do with Leopold and Cecil Rhodes and some of these British people were doing. But I'm giving you proof on how the British royal family actually had a direct hand in the passing around of our ancestors. So for those so-called stars, for that to be Black Excellence Star-Studded event last night, that was a total disrespect of our ancestors. A total. And Oprah Winfrey, if anybody Black has any backbone, Oprah Winfrey should be called to the carpet on it. If any of us have any respect for our ancestors, she should be called to the carpet on it. The British Crown controlled the slave trade. Y'all hear this, right? The British Crown controlled the slave trade. Britain never shall be slaves. If we set aside the nationalist simplicity, the historical inaccuracy, several centuries of effective Roman enslavement of Britain, the Norman invasion. So they basically saying how Britain was conquered. The Norman invasion. I'm skip that part. Let me go down. Hold on. All right, here we go. Yeah. The British Crown made much of their vast personal wealth from the human slave trade, the transportation of people, especially Irish and African slaves to the colonies in the New World. The British Queen or Crown Monarchy has never apologized for their evil or paid a cent of reparations. On the contrary, instead of showing any sign of acknowledgement and remorse for their intrinsic role in the human slave trade, the British Crown Monarchy and supportive Westminster politicians have no shame. They even perversely try and present themselves, Britain, as the key to emancipation of human slaves. This is a selective account, a romantic short story, and historical fact. The Crown continued to make wealth from their connections to the slave trade and the effective slavery and purposeful impoverishment of humans to at least the 20th century. So let's see. Let's go down. The British like to present the Royal Navy as a sort of world seas police for humanity. The whole story of the history of the Royal Navy is, however, very different to that simplistic British propaganda. The Royal Navy was used for centuries to enforce the slave trade. They were the main protectors of the slave traders and ships. A key figure in the slave trade was a resident of Deptford and pirate Sir John Hawkins. The Church of St. Nicholas contains a statue of William Hawkins, his brother, which was erected by Hawkins, the treasurer of the Royal Navy in 1859. Described as the English father of the slave trade, he lived in the treasure house at Deptford Dockyard and made his first slave ship from England. And made his first slaving trip from England in 1562. In the open veins of Latin America, El Dorado Gallardo describes how Elizabeth I became a business partner of Captain John Hawkins. His first slave expedition in 1562 was made with a fleet of 3 ships and 100 men. He smuggled 300 slaves out of Portuguese Guinea, partly by the sword and partly by other means. According to James Walving writing in Black Ivory, Hawkins sold the slaves in Hispaniola and filled his ship with hides of ginger, sugars, and some qualities of pearls. A year later, leaving England, Hawkins returned to England with prosperous success and much gain to himself as the I don't even know what that word said. So this is basically telling you about the British Empire. Let me see if I can go down for a minute. Yeah, let me go here. When Hawkins told her that the exchange for slaves, he had a cargo of sugar, ginger, hides, and pearls. She forgave the pirate and became his business partner. She supported him by loaning him a second expedition, the Jesus and the Lubbock, a 700-ton vessel purchased by Henry the VIII for the Royal Navy. So I'm just showing you how they had their hand and they was complicit in it. Let me see. See, this goes, I can go on and on with this thing, man. I can go up and down, and this thing goes, it shows you like how the Royal Ventures Company was wound up in 1672, and its place of they had the Royal African Company. Well, hold on, let me go down because it's something else that I wanted to read. Let's see. Let me start from right here. Before I go to the next. All right, yeah. The real history of the supposed royals of England. Britain fully entered the slave trade in 1660 when Charles II helped find a new company called the Royal Ventures into Africa. The company was granted a monopoly on the British slave trade for 1,000 years, and its members included the royal family and the aristocracy. 2 years after its foundation, the company had made a profit of $1 million. The company wound up in 1672, but after minor changes in staff, shareholders, and its charter was reformed, and the Royal African Company and once again received royal protection. the king's warrant stated, we hereby for us, our heirs and successors, grant unto the Royal African Company of England that it shall be and may be lawfully to set to sea such as ships, pinnocks, and barks as shall be thought fitting for the buying, selling, bartering, and exchanging of for or with any gold, silver, Negroes, slaves, good wares, and manufacturers. Its colonies such as Barbados, Jamaica, Saint Domingo, modern day Haiti, outstanding profits were made on the backs that the enslaved Africans labor force. The British Royal Navy protected its ships. It is estimated that the Crown profited around 4 million enslaved, profited from around 4 million enslaved Africans who were traded mainly to the Americas and British ships. Profits made on these voyages were very large. For instance, in the 17th century, the Royal African Company could buy an enslaved African with trade goods worth 3 and have a person sold for 20 in the American. So they could buy it for 3 and have it served for 20 in America. So they was flipping birds. The Royal Company was able to make an average profit of 38% per voyage in the 1680s. So this is just another aspect. I'm gonna go on. Let's see. Although average profits on successful slave voyages from Britain in the late 18th century were less, around 10%, this was still a big profit. So that's just one. Let me go back up because this is just one. This is just another story. So I'm gonna get to the American Negro now, and what the American Negro was fighting. See, because when you show this kind of stuff, it's actually people think it's boring because I'm not howling, screaming, I'm not giving a good sermon, I'm not doing all those things. I'm showing you how they had their hand. Let's see. I read that one. Okay. I read the British Crown. Okay, hold on. Okay. Let's get here. Slave descendants sue Lloyd's for billions. Slave descendants sue Lloyd's for billions. All right. Americans whose ancestors were taken from Africa in chains have hired a feared New York lawyer to seek compensation for the ensured support of genocide, writes Colonel Walsh. Centuries after Africans were beaten, chained, and transported, and their millions across the Atlantic, Britain's role in the slave trade is set to resurface in sensational fashion in a New York courtroom. Descendants of Black American slaves are preparing a multi-million-dollar action against Lloyd's of London, the best-known name in world insurance for allegedly financing the trading fleets that uprooted them from their homelands and condemned them to generations of slavery in the New World. Uh-oh. The dramatic claim, see, the dramatic. How is something that we know to be true? How is something that we know to be true a dramatic claim? See, that's how you know who will be writing this stuff. The dramatic claim to be filed tomorrow is the latest in which the UK, and this is an older article because you have more, but I just want you guys to understand what's going on as opposed to what's just being taught on a lot of these platforms. The dramatic claim is to be filed tomorrow, and the latest in which the UK PLC is being forced to confront allegations of a murky past. In recent years, a host of British companies have been sued for allegedly collaborating with South Africa's racist apartheid regime. Watch this. The claim against Lloyd's could prove far more damaging. Black leaders, this is the North American Negroes now. This is not in Jamaica. This is the North American Negro. Black leaders are using DNA technology to link themselves with recorded slave ships and have enlisted Edward Fagan, the feared New York lawyer who extracted huge Nazi gold settlements from German and Swiss companies to lead the case. Lloyd is expected to deny Lloyd is expected to deny it is liable for slavery, but news of the case will cause consideration within its gleaming steel and glass headquarters in the city of London, where the insurance giants tipped to make a profit of $1 billion this year. The sharp-suited brokers and cutting-edge technology that now characterize Lloyd's are only the latest incarnation in a long controversial history. It was founded by Edward Lloyd in London coffee shop in 1688. And we know, I just read to y'all what happened in 1688. It was founded in 1688 to provide cover for merchants whose ships were regularly lost at sea. They were the Royal Navy that was providing cover for the ships to the New World. And they made trillions of dollars off of our ancestors. But this is something that's not being told because they're using mind control on our people. Just like today, it was the center of the insurance and shipping world in the 1700s and early 1800s when many ship owners were making vast fortunes by shipping slaves from Africa to America and Britain colonies in the Caribbean. Before slavery was abolished in the British Empire in the 1830s and 3 decades later in the United States, more than 10 million people are thought to have been sold to slave traffickers at West African ports before being herded onto boats for a long voyage to America. The ships often stop for supplies at Bristol, London, or Liverpool. The slaves suffer severe mistreatment, malnutrition, and overcrowded on the way, with around 20% dying at sea on arrival in America. Those who had survived the journey were permanently separated from their family and friends. Deirdre Pellman, one of the plaintiffs in the case, has traced her ancestors to the Mende people of Sierra Leone. She told the Observer, African Americans today are also the victims of genocide, or ethnic and national groups were destroyed by slavery. This is illegal under U.S. international law. We still do not know anything about who we are. Now, and I'm gonna say something to y'all. I want everybody that's in the chat room to hear to understand what George is about to tell y'all. And why I tell y'all that you got to be careful with this DNA stuff. Because if 52 million so-called African Americans all went and took DNA tests and traced our ancestry back to Africa, and we begin to use this as the template for the go after Britain, Spain, France, and say that you owe us reparations, they will in turn turn around and say that the DNA shit is inaccurate. I guarantee you, they will tell you that the DNA is inaccurate just so they won't have to give you reparations. If you turn around and we all turn around and say we use DNA in order to catch you up in your lies and say that you owe us reparations, they would turn around and say, no, you are the people of this land. And then they still would have to give you land and compensation. This is the shit that they doing, Amin Ra Osiris. We got to pay attention to what's really going on and how they plan this. All of us get together and go take a DNA test, trace our ancestry back to Africa and say we want our money. I guarantee you they would disassociate themselves from DNA quick as hell, very fast. See, they can use some of them talking points to other people. You ain't using that on George because I'm not stupid. I understand how these devils operate. Let me read on. See, because I just showed you what the Jamaicans said. I showed you how they was complicit. Right. I showed you how they was complicit in the slave trade. Peace, Black first. Now I'm showing you what the North American Negro was doing. See, on a lot of these platforms, how many of y'all heard about this case with the North American Negroes in the New York court system? How many of these black platforms are even discussing it? I wish I had my tea like Kermit the Frog right now in that statement. How many of these black platforms are even discussing this? Or they're afraid to discuss it? Now, watch this. We were referred to as cargo on shipping records, not by our names, nationality, or ethnic groups, as other immigrants in America were. This is well as all the murder and mistreatment of our ancestors suffered is the definition of genocide, and Lloyds of London aided and abetted it. Annette Harold Miller, watch this. Antoinette Harold Miller, another of the claimants, said, like any other ethnic group living in America, I have the right to know who I am. Lloyds of London and others must repair the damage they caused. Historical records identify around 30,000 slave expeditions sailing between Africa and the Americas over 300 years, although it is not clear how many of these would have been insured at Lloyd's, but the plaintiffs, 10 Black Americans, have traced their ancestors to specific slave trading episodes, claim that many of these armadas could not have crossed the Atlantic without the financial safety net that Lloyd's provided, especially in that time frame. Now, I want all black people to go get a DNA test, and let's trace our shit back to Africa, and let's go after these European insurance companies. Let's go after these companies and watch how fast they back away from DNA. This is what we got to do. They want the insurer. They want the insurer to contribute $1 billion educational fund that will help Black Americans trace their ancestry. Man, they are also demanding up to $1 million each in personal compensation. No, we need more than that. That's not enough. $1 million each. They still own and control the resources on the land in Africa and in goddamn South America. They're still controlling. They are also demanding up to if their test case is successful, it can open the floodgates for similar lawsuits from any of the estimated 30 million Americans whose forefathers were slaves. See, I want y'all to understand something, what I'm about to tell y'all. They're never going to allow this to be successful unless you got a military to crush them. Because if we all go take DNA tests and take our stuff back to Africa based off their DNA, we're going to be able to successfully go after them. So they're going to back away. And once they back away and say that the DNA is faulty, then we can prove that we're aboriginal to the Americas. And we can still go after them for enslaving us here and being complicit, and the American government for stealing our land, and really have to give the land back to us. So we got them by the balls either way. If Black people come together and understand what we need to do, the aim exclusively at Lloyd's, among other defendants in the U.S. government, and one-time champion of slavery, proving that Lloyd's is accountable for the evils of slavery, especially so long after those tragic events, will be extraordinarily difficult. No, it won't. The rabbit hole run deep. All you got to do is follow the trail. It will be necessary to establish in court that descendants of slaves are also victims. We're victims. We're victims of having no identity and knowledge of self. We're victims of not being able to pass down generational wealth. We're victims of being raised up in the cultural ignorance of not knowing who we are. And we fight amongst each other because of it. We destroy each other because of it. We're walking around like bodies with no heads. So absolutely. Even if Lloyd's as an institution was judged to be liable, many of its members, the firms and private investors whose money provides insurance cover, would probably argue that they had no involvement in the insurance marking 3 centuries ago. Lloyd's itself is expected to deny any legal responsibility for slavery and fight the case fiercely, arguing that the claims itself is outlandish, even by the standards of American compensation culture. See, but you got to expect the devil to fight. You got to expect the devil to fight. And Lloyd's spokesman declined to comment yesterday, but pointed out that the insurer had faced slavery lawsuits before, which the courts had rejected. Well, you got to understand the courts are going to reject it. See, I want y'all to understand something. The courts have to reject it, because if the courts doesn't how can I say it? Let me use the words. They're not going to compensate all of these so-called Negro people around all up in the Western Hemisphere what they did to us. But if we go and if we go and 100 million of us go and take the test, and you got 100 million lawsuits in all courts all around the planet, they're going to back away from DNA. And then it's going to prove to you that we are the original people of these lands too. You got to catch them, but we got to come together. What's killing us is our division and not knowing who we are. We got to come together, man, as a people, because we are both those people. We are the people they brought on the slave ships. We are the people that was here before the Europeans even got here. We are both sets of those people. And we got to understand this. So I'm going to go to this other part, right? Hold on. Let me bring this other part up real quick. But let me read this last section. Let me go down a little bit. Let me go down here. Some earlier claims were also rejected on the grounds that the claimants could not provide incontrovertible proof as to when and by whom their ancestors had been enslaved. But the plaintiff, well, you're not going to be able to do that in a lot of ways. Some ways you can, but in a lot of ways you can't, because we were the original people here. They play these mind games with us, man. That's why when I'm on some of these channels, like even my big brother Sinetta TV, and some of these other sites, like, we got to stop fighting amongst each other. And even though we disagree on some things, we got to come together on what we agree on. And we got to really bring this information out, because a lot of our people was already here. And then I'm not denying the slave trade at all. The slave trade happened. They brought people here. And they mixed and matches, and we became one family. And we got to be able to tell this truth. Now, but the plaintiffs in tomorrow's case against Lloyd will claim that new DNA testing techniques allowed them to trace their ancestry to specific African tribes, by extension to undefinable slave trafficking episodes. Babe. And Fagan, they have enlisted a lawyer who is already unpopular in a number of city boardrooms, as well as famously acting for Holocaust victims. He represents thousands of South Africans who are suing British, European, and American firms for allegedly exploiting Black workers under the apartheid regime. Among the British blue chip companies being sued, watch this, y'all. The Barclay Bank, and BP all deny the claims. In Brooklyn, New York, the basketball place, what is it named after? The Barclay Center, right? The Barclay family and BP all deny claims. Companies usually resort to the argument that terrible things happened a long time ago, but now it's all in the past. But they didn't say that when it came to Jews. They gave the Jews a whole nation. They gave the Jews a whole nation. They gave Jews compensation. You know, so these are the things that we got to understand what we were up against. One second. Yeah, 1 second, family. So they gave land, they passed laws, they set things in place for Jews in Jerusalem. We know why, but that's for another story. But when they come to us, they can't give us shit. They don't want to give us anything, because if they give us things, they will open it. The thing is, Walter Sniper, Janice Lewis, if they was to in turn give us something. Two scientists who impaled false memory in the mouse. Okay, I'm on you. I'm on you, BR Pan. If they was able to compensate black people, then they would be forced to tell the truth about everything. So I want to go because I covered this. Let's see, I covered this. I covered this. I covered this. I want to come here real fast. I want to come here and I want to read the definition of psychological warfare. I want to read the definition of psychological warfare to the people. Matter of fact, you know what? Yeah, hold on. Before I read that, I want to go into these pictures because I want to put this image. I want to put these images in your mind, and then I'm gonna put these images in your mind, and then I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what they do with psychological warfare. That's Gina Torres right there. Now, this is from the Royal Wedding, right? And these are images. So we're gonna scroll down, and we're gonna see Idris Elba and Sabrina Dahori. You're gonna see as we scroll down, you're gonna see Idris Elba. You're gonna see Sabrina and his girl. You're gonna see. Look at this here. Now this is mind control at its finest. I want y'all to look at this well. She's no longer with Common. She's no longer with those black guys that she's dated. She's very happy. She has the big smile on her face. She's worth $154 billion straight from the streets of Compton. Grew up poor and go get a poor white man. That's psychological. That's bullshit. I don't believe that he's poor. I'm starting to believe that he's actually family to this royal family. I'm telling you. I'm really starting to believe that. And they married her and produced a baby because they want them genes. They want them genes mixed in. This is what because they always have an agenda to what they're doing when they're forcing this multiculturalism in this multicultural society. Because you always had black women mixed up in that bloodline. The so-called British royal family. But I want y'all to see this. Now, let's go. We get Gina Torres. So they all there, they smiling, they happy. Gina Torres, right? She's down there. She has her hat on. Right, a coonette. She's a coonologist. She's a coonist. You know, they have degrees in coonology. Now look at this guy here. Look at this dude. The Reverend Michael Curry. Like, are you serious? Look at this. Like, this is a joke, man. Now I'm gonna tell y'all something. Him being a reverend, he ought to be ashamed of himself. Knowing the history of that family and complicit in slave trade, how could he be a man of the cloth or man of God? And even if he wanted to forgive them, he still can't take part in what they're doing because their sins is on God. He has to stand clear out of that. They still are beneficiaries of the blood of people. But he forgive and he forget. He ain't supposed to be presiding over anything of the royal family until they get their judgment from God, from the destruction of people. That's how you know. That's how you know he's fake. Now we know that the book says you can forgive, but it didn't say forget. I can forgive you, but I can't forget. And because of your sins against humanity, I have to abstain from taking part in your wedding. Because of what the book said, I love you, but I gotta abstain. You have blood on your hands. Your family has blood on it. Your royalty has blood on it. We wrestle against principalities and power. And you built your power off the back and blood and the destruction of humanity. So how can you, in the so-called God's name, take part in something like that? You can forgive them, but we ain't supposed to forget. Let's keep going now. 19-year-old violinist Sheku Kenneth Mason. He was there, he was playing Yeah. He has a PhD, Coon for sure. That definitely Coonology. He's definitely a Coonist. He has a degree in Coonology. We have to be aware. We have to be aware of that and how they operated and that which they're doing. So I'm putting these images in your mind because when I read the definition, look at this one here. All of our mothers and aunts love this woman. She is a complete, utter, disgusting human being. Yeah, human being. She is an utter. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. She absolutely has no honor and respect for her ancestors at all. I mean, the stuff that people do for $1, man. She's already worth billions. What more you need from the cracker? You don't need to be at none of that stuff. You made your money. She's absolutely. She's definitely a Coonist. She has her degree in Coonology too. So I give you guys the images. So now, as I gave y'all the images and I placed those images in your mind, let's go over here and let's deal with psychological warfare. Let's deal with psychological warfare, family. Let's get it. Psychological warfare, or the basis aspects of modern psychological operations, PSYOPs, has been known by many other names or terms, including MISO, PSYOPs, political warfare, hearts and minds, and propaganda. Okay. Psychological warfare has been known as political warfare, what you see going on with Trump and CNN, political warfare, right? He's under fire with Russia and the FBI and everybody. Political warfare is a term used of political means to compel opponent to do one's will based on hostile intent. The term political describes the calculated interaction between a government and a target audience. Between a government and a target audience to include another state's government, military, or general population. The target audience is you, family. The target audience is your mind. They're going after your mind. Now let's do propaganda. Propaganda is information that is not objective and is usually primarily to influence an audience and further an agenda, often by presenting facts selectively to encourage a particular synthesis or perception, or using loaded language to produce an emotional rather than rational response. And this is what they did with that wedding. They got an emotional response through their propaganda and political warfare. Because the political warfare is the British Empire, and the politics behind it is what they've done to our people. The propaganda is the showing of Serena Williams with the white man. The propaganda is the showing Oprah Winfrey over there to get a rise out of black people, an emotional rise. Because they understand how we operate, because they're the ones that did it to us. So they use the psychological warfare on us. You gotta understand, this is why they give you CNN, the corrupt news network. And they constantly deal with your mind. When there's a black boy shot by the police, they show the bloody body in the street, dripping down the street. And who do they do that for? They don't do that for black men. They do it for black women. They do it for the women that give birth to these babies, to make her be subordinate to the dominant society and to make her raise babies that will be supported. This is what will happen to your baby when he challenges us. This is psychological warfare and mind control through media and propaganda. The term used to denote any action which is practiced mainly by psychological methods with the aim of invoking a planned psychological reaction in other people. So they created this wedding because they knew that there would be a planned psychological reaction for the people that they was presenting it to. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. This is why they give you sports and entertainment, porn, women walking around naked, basketball wives, and All of these things is psychological warfare on the mind to get you to react the way that they would for their own economic gain. This is why we get addicted to it, addicted to things. They're out to control your desires. Let me tell you something, Janice. If I can control your desires, I can also control your imagination, thought, and manifestations. So if they make you desire to be like Oprah, they make you desire to be like Serena Williams, they make you desire to be like Mike, they make you desire to be like Michael Jackson, they make you desire to be like these people who you don't know personally, but you only know the image and the perceptions that's being presented in front of you through propaganda and political warfare. They now control your desires. And they can build an economic base off of controlling your desires with all the things that they present to you, that you will voluntarily succumb to. You deal with things that you know is bad for you, but you still desire to have it anyway. You go to sleep imagining it. You imagining being with that girl with that fat ass. You can't wait to get up in that thing. You know it ain't no good for you. You know she ain't shit. You desire to be with that guy with the car or that guy with the good job. You know he got 3 baby moms and he beat women, but he look good. Because the images that's been put in front of you in the society, the illusion of the images that's been put in front of you in the society now controls your desires. The greatest thing that you have on this realm of resistance is 4 things: desire, imagination, thought, and manifestations of your imagination and thought. But if I can control your desires, I control you. And this is why they give you all these things on TV and sports and everything, to keep you away from the internal higher self. Psychological warfare, family. Let me read on. Various techniques are used and are aimed at influencing a target audience. Here we go. Various techniques are used and are aimed at influencing a target audience value system. Value. In ethics, value denotes the degree of importance of something or action, with the aim of determining what actions are best to do or what way is best to live, or to describe the significance or different actions. It may be described as treating actions as abstract objects, putting value on them. So they target your value systems. They target your belief systems. Belief is the state of mind in which a person thinks something to be the case with or without there being empirical evidence to prove that something is the case with factual certainty. Another way of defining belief sees it as a mental representation of an attitude positively oriented towards the likelihood. So I'm trying to tell y'all. So they go after the audience targeting your value system, your belief system, your emotions, your motive, your reasonings, and your behavior. Emotions. Let's go with the definition of emotions. See, I gotta read all of this, man, because y'all have to understand what's going on, and I'm gonna take this somewhere. Emotions is any conscious experience characterized by intense mental activity and a certain degree of pleasure or displeasure. Scientific discourse has drifted to other meanings, and there is no consensus on a definition. Emotion is often intertwined with mood, temperament, and personality. Motives. Motives is the reason for people's actions, desires, and needs. Motivation is also one's direction to behavior, or what causes a person to want to repeat a behavior. So they get control of your desires, they control your value system, your beliefs, your emotions, and your motives. They have you motivated to destroy yourself. They have you motivated to kill another brother because he has something that you want. They have you motivated to fuck your best friend's woman because he has something that you want. They have you motivated to sleep with your best friend's husband because they have control of your desires and your value system. You no longer value your value system. Your value system and your emotions is shot to shit because it's controlled through psychological warfare. This is why on these platforms, shut the door. Get out. This is why on these platforms, nobody likes each other. We fight against each other. We use religion and spiritual beliefs and argue about who's right and who's wrong. Well, none of us have the true answer of man's origins. None of us have the true answers on what the true God is, but we still argue and fight amongst each other. And we hate each other over it. We stay separate over it because of psychological warfare that they have enacted on our minds, the psyops that they've done to us. You go across social media platforms on all the black social media sites. Everybody's tearing each other down. Everybody's beating each other up. Nobody gets along. Nobody likes each other. Nobody likes each other. But nobody's dealing with the real issue on what's going on. And this is why I'm giving you guys this stuff, man. You know, this is oh, 1 second. All right. 1 second. And this is why I'm giving you guys this. So now you have reasoning. Reason is the capacity for consciously making sense of things, establishing and verifying facts, ending logic, and changing or justifying practices, institutions, and beliefs based on new or existing information. It is closely associated with the characteristically human activities as philosophy. Behavior is the range of actions and mannerisms made by individuals, organisms, systems, and artificial entities in conjunction with themselves or their environment, which includes the systems or organisms as well as the intimate physical environment. So what I'm saying is this. All right, let me continue reading. Watch this, right? It is used to induce confessions or reinforce attitudes and behaviors favorable to the originator's objectives and are sometimes combined with black operations or false flag tactics. It is also the false flag tactics is a lot of these fake shit that you see going on TV to get a rise out of you. Some of these fake shootings, some of these fake killings that's not really happening, that we can't prove, that come in the news and go away. These are the false flags. It is also used to destroy the morale of enemies through tactics that aims to depress troops' psychological states. Target audience can be government, organizations, groups, and individuals, and is not limited to soldiers. Civilians of foreign terrorists can also be targeted by technology and media so as to cause an effect in the government of the country. In propaganda, the formation of men's attitudes by Jacques, whatever that name is, discusses psychological warfare as a common peace policy practiced between nations as a form of indirect aggression. This type of propaganda drains the public. This type of propaganda drains the public opinion of an oppressive regime by stripping away its power on public opinion. This form of aggression is hard to defend against because no international court or justice is capable of protecting us against psychological aggression, since it cannot be legally adjudicated. Here's the propaganda is dealing with foreign adversaries whose morale he seeks to destroy by psychological means, so that the opponent begins to doubt the validity of his beliefs and actions. So I don't even have to read no more when we're dealing with psychological warfare, because I can get into it, but I read that to segue right into this before I end this. I want y'all to see this picture. I want y'all to see and look at this picture. This is a North American Negro woman who married the original bloodline, Ethiopian king. And I didn't see black women nowhere. Oddness, being up, being hype, being happy. Adrian Austin, 33. She married an Ethiopian king. So hold on. Let me X this part out real quick. Sahara Sams, I need to be taking my son there. Sorry. American woman 33 marries Ethiopian prince 35 in a lavish wedding 12 years after they met at Washington, D.C. nightclub. Now, what the hell was the Ethiopian prince doing in it? Why does these damn things keep coming up? Wow, what the hell? This damn ad keeps coming up. I don't know why this damn thing keeps coming up. It won't let me yeah, let me just read. American woman 33 marries Ethiopian man Prince 35 in a nightclub. She came up. I want to know. So like black women go to a nightclub, she getting cracked on by some brothers. Man, she get cracked on by a damn Ethiopian prince and don't even know it. What is she to diss them? What is she to walk in with that nasty attitude that some of our sisters be having? And I ain't talking to nobody, not even knowing who trying to talk to you. You know what I mean? So it says Ariana Austin, 33, married 35-year-old Joe Mokene, a great-grandson of the Emperor of Ethiopia, on September 9th in Maryland. The couple married 12 years after they met on the dance floor, Washington nightclub Pearl. Mokene picked Austin up by saying she looked like a model in a Bombay Sapphire advertisement. Mokene, now a lawyer for something American pharmaceutical, is related to Emperor Haile Selassie I through his second son, Prince Mokene. He was born in Rome, where his family lived in exile. See this here? The original royal family. He has a job as a lawyer working for a pharmaceutical company, but he's the fucking royal family. But we just sat here for almost 2 hours talking about the goddamn cracker and their royal family. But we ain't get into the real Ethiopian royal family. He was born in Rome, where his family lived in exile after the 1974 military coup. The Ethiopian royal family claims descendant to the biblical King Solomon and Queen of Sheba, who the cracker Jew would deny. And an American woman became an African princess last month when she married into the royal family of Ethiopia after meeting her future husband at a modern day ball. Austin, 33, married 35-year-old lawyer Joe Mokene. The couple married 20 years. Yeah, I read that part. So I just want y'all to see these images. Right. The cracker royal family don't got jobs. They don't work. I want y'all to see this image. I want to know how many black women plastered this. How many black women strive to be this? I mean, she met this brother in the club. I mean, she got with her girlfriends, went out to a club. You know what I mean? Pookie and Ray Ray was there, like, what's up, ma? Goddamn Ethiopian dude there and cracked on her. What's wrong? I got it. It's that hose. So I just want y'all to see these images, man. Hold on, let me go back up. No, it didn't say that she was Ethiopian. They said that she was an African-American woman, big game. It said that she was African-American woman. I didn't see anything where it said that she was actually Ethiopian, my brother. Show these images. Wait a minute. She was Ethiopian American. I had to look into that. I didn't see that. You know, as we see these images, because this didn't get the star-studded event. There was no star-studded event. And when you look at the phenotype, a lot of Ethiopians, they look just like the North American Negro. I wonder why. When you look at the North American Negro and the Ethiopian people, people from Eritrea, a lot of them look just like us. So, you know, you show these images, man. I want y'all to see these images, man, because they don't propagate or show these images to our people, man. And it's sad. It's sad. Our people are not seeing these images. Look at that beautiful black woman. And that's a black woman right there. Not no Meghan Markle going over to the side with the demons, siding with the devil. Nah, this is a black woman here. You know, that's a black woman. These are black people. I want to know what was did Oprah attend this wedding? Did Serena Williams attend this wedding? I'm quite sure if Oprah would have wanted to attend this wedding, Serena Williams and all those black people, they would have gladly allowed them to come. They ain't interested in coming to see no black people. I definitely would have been our best man. Or hers. So let me stop playing with y'all, man. Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie. Right. Megan might be 4% black, so am I. Is an image of Emperor Haile Selassie. So I'm showing y'all this because they gave y'all all those images, all of those images of the royal family, but they gave you, but this is rarely heard. A lot of people aren't even aware. A lot of people aren't even aware of this, man. So who this man coming down the aisle? That looks like everybody's grandfather right there. It's like that looks like everybody's grandfather, man. That looks like Pop right there. I mean, that's Grandpa Richard right there. That's Uncle Cleophas right there, man. Come on, man. Right, but that's why I read the mind control. I read the mind control. So let me see. Yeah, let me go to that part. And then some Ethiopians are mixed, my brother. Not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them are. Some of them are mixed with that Italian. Some of them are purebred Africans, and that's their phenotype still. Some of them are purebred Africans. Some of them are jet black with nappy hair. Some of them are brown skin like me with curly hair. And they're still, some of them are still 100% African. All of them are not mixed. All of them are not mixed. That's a misnomer. You know what I mean? Look at him. He looked like somebody's cousin from up the street. That's cousin Fred right there. He like cousin Fred, man. I mean, that's Uncle Cleon right there. But that's the Ethiopian. They do resemble us more. That's Uncle Cleon right there. Look at this dude, man. That's the Ethiopian. He look like everybody's cousin. I mean, you know, so like I said, when you see their phenotypes and then you look at us, one will have to wonder. So, you know, I just let me stop sharing. Yeah, so one will have to ask, we have to pay attention to the psychological warfare that they enacted on our people, man. We have to understand exactly what happened to our people, man, what they did. Yeah, yeah, that's cousin Marv. He could just cause that's cousin Marv. You know what I mean? You know, he like the cousin that's getting a couple of hours, getting to $1. You know what I mean? But they look just like us. I know a lot of Ethiopians and Eritreans, and they feature us for the most part. More than, and I'm more than like when I see people that's from like Senegal or Mali, and some of them do look like us too. But when I see them Ethiopians, them East, some of them Southern Sudanese, they look just like us. I'm like, damn. I mean, you know, sometimes I have to ask the question why. You know, I mean, you know, I don't have all the answers. I'm not saying that I'm 100% accurate and I know what I'm talking about. I'm just going by sight of what I see. But I gave y'all a lot of real good information today. Suleiman, I hope you was in the chat room listening. I showed how the British company and the naval fleet was complicit with slavery from the 1600s, from 1680 all the way to the end of slavery. I show how they built their empires. I show how the African Americans hired lawyers and they're going after the Lloyd's company. I show how the Jamaicans were asking for compensation. And the whole gist of what I was trying to do here today was basically show how the royal family has been complicit in the destruction of the African Negro people and the Aboriginal people here on the lands of America and the Mongoloid natives here as well. They have been complicit in the destruction of a people, millions of people, untold amount. And there's never been a sorry. There's never been any type of compensation, but they gave the Japanese compensation. They gave the Jews compensation, and they're still using psychological warfare on you. I want everybody black to go order a DNA test, right? So I want we using strategy. Solomon, Black First, all Big Game, all of y'all go get y'all DNA test, right? Let's trace through their so-called DNA. Let's trace our origins back to Africa. And then let's 2 million of us go and sue the British monarchy. Let's sue the British insurance companies for their complicity in slavery. I guarantee you they will back away from those goddamn DNA tests. They will say, they will put out articles and propaganda through psychological warfare and say those DNA tests are inaccurate. I guarantee you. Let's go after the Jews and say how they had a hand in slavery. Let's 2 to 3 million of us, let's all go take DNA tests and trace our ancestry back to Africa. And then let's go attack them. Let's go say we want our money. We cut, like Dr. King said, when we go to DC, we coming for our check. They're going to turn around and say, what's African tend to have be the same. Ethiopians have various complexions like people in America, right? They're going to turn around and say that the DNA is inaccurate. That's what we got to do. 1 million of us. Let's get the campaign. Let's 2.5 million of us all take DNA tests and let's come together and let's say we want our money. You said DNA is accurate, right? Well, you was complicit in the destruction of my people. My DNA goes back to this time when your ships was protecting the fleets that was coming here. So you was complicit. We need our check. Let me tell you something. Before they even dismissed the case, they was dismissed DNA. See, you gotta understand something, Brother Path. They can dismiss court cases, but when you have over 2 to 3 million of us together and unified, they can't dismiss those cases like that. They would have to back away from DNA. We have to force their hands with unity. And then we can attack them and tell them that we was the original people here, and you came and wiped us out and took our land. And they would have to give us land and our money. So I just want y'all, come here. Shut the door. So I want y'all, I just came. Yo, shut the door and be quiet. I just want y'all to understand like how we've been attacked in the psychological warfare. So I hope that y'all actually took down notes on the psychological warfare and what they do, how I explained it. So remember, man, I love my people more than they hate themselves. And I pray to the universal creator most high that these words was enough to inspire you. This information was enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. This information was enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. This information was enough to make you want to share it to friends and family. This information was enough to make you want to share it to Facebook, share it across YouTube, try to bring the brothers together in unity. We got to start to begin a strategy. I hope that this information was enough to make you understand that we are having psychological warfare being waged against us, and we have to understand how to fight. I hope that this information is enough to make you love your brother, your sister, and want for your brothers and your sisters' family the same as you want for yours, man. I hope that this information was enough to make you practice self-love. I hope that this information was enough to make you, if you haven't seen your children in some time, try to call up and reconcile with the baby mom where you can be able to get around your children and begin to deprogram your children. I hope that this information is enough to just make you want to change, brother. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.